They stuck that in their neck. Do they do that to little kids?
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody.
Still never believe.
That's how the British did it. Who are the British today?
White people.
Exactly.
Catfish. You still pushing.
Do you think that some of them still feel that way today, Zeta? Huh? You don't think so? Exactly.
That's how they kill them?
That's how they enslaved the people back then. Tortured them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actual facts.
They said in 1693, Spain's King Charles II proclaimed that any English slave who reached Spanish Florida would be granted freedom
upon converting to Catholicism. That's
Yeah.
why you have a lot of blacks who are Catholics.
Why they doing that to them?
That's one of my favorite pictures
Yeah,
right
but
there,
escaping.
because the black man is protecting his woman
Yeah, I like that
from
one.
those dogs, and these dogs, is the white man put the dog on and they're escaping, and so the man is protecting his woman. But you don't get a lot of that today, do you? Not with all these songs, B and ho and this and that and the other. You see?
Okay.
Yeah. But that right there was the way it used to be.
Used to be. Love a man like that.
We need a man like that. But there's still a lot of men that are like that.
Yeah.
But they're trying to put in men's minds that the black woman is not worth anything. And a lot of women believe that, so a lot of women aren't worth anything in their minds. But they want to be. A lot of them want to be, and they can
them
be.
dogs look vicious.
They are vicious. They're trained to kill
Ooh.
that black skin. The what? Hurry up and lock it back. Wow. All right, our trip to Fort Mose Historic State Park. We're going into the Black History Museum. But you also had
that's the gun that they had back in the day.
But is it real?
Yes.
Right now?
Yeah, not right now, but it
Yeah,
was.
it was. Yeah.
That's the way they were.
Oh.
Mhm. Mhm. But they had even back then, as you can see, everybody wasn't um, enslaved until the British. They had these brothers. They had these brothers who were, guarding this area. Black men were strong and proud, to protect their women, their home, their children, their property. But they make it seem like, in history, that they teach our children that, they were just picking cotton. That's all they teach our children, and that's not true. That's the reason why, we need to teach our children what really happened, especially here in Florida. And you got some people up north that think that, everything down here they were just picking cotton. That's not true.
That's what they used to
Actually, they were free here, and people up north were coming here to be free. So
That's what
they need
used
to get it
play.
straight.
That's what they used to play.
Yep. Yep. And then when the British came from the northern states, from Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, and they came here to try to enslave the free blacks in Florida, then they fled to Cuba to be free from the British. So let's get it right. All right, let's go into the museum. This is the museum in St. Augustine, Fort Mose, Flight to Freedom. And it's interactive. If I step on this circle,
My name is Mingo.
it begins
This
an
is my
interactive story.
My family and I were slaves on an English plantation in the Carolinas. We heard about the Spanish offering religious sanctuary to slaves that can make it to Spanish Florida. Even though it was very dangerous, my wife, baby, and I, along with others, snuck out late one night in a boat off the coast. We were scared and hungry the whole time, not knowing if we get captured or lose our way and never see land again. But we made it. When we got to St. Augustine, we agreed to be baptized Catholic until the governor let us stay. We were baptized and learned about the Catholic faith. The other men and I went to work as ironsmiths and helped build the fort, Castillo de San Marcos. Our wives worked in the governor's home here in St. Augustine. We weren't free yet, but in St. Augustine, we got paid for our work, and then I got to live with my wife and child.
He explained the difference between being under the Spanish and the British. At least they got paid to work under the Spanish, and they also got to be with their wives and children.
My family and I were slaves on an English plantation in the Carolinas. We heard about the Spanish offering religious sanctuary to slaves that did not use Spanish Florida. Even though it was very dangerous, my wife, baby, and I, along with others, snuck out late one night in a boat off the coast.
That's interesting, isn't it? Under Spanish Florida, they had their own town, could be with their wives and children and create a community. And under the British, you know, they were treated like property.
They had their own churches, farms,
Then they won't be quiet.
It'll go off.
That's 5, and then that's 6.
Under the English system of chattel slavery, enslaved Africans were considered pieces of property. They could not legally marry or own property. Slaves could be sold at a moment's notice and separated from their families. They were constantly watched and sometimes tortured or killed by their owners. Only the lucky few were ever freed.
My name is Francisco Menendez. I'm a Mandinga born in West Africa.
Mandingo, Francisco
When I was a
Menendez.
young man, English slavers took me to Carolina. There, other slaves told me that I could be freed in Spanish Florida. I joined in the Yamasee Indian War against the English, and some of us escaped together to St. Augustine. But one Indian betrayed me and sold me as a slave to a Spanish official. The Spaniards made me captain of the slave militia, but I pursued the freedom I expected to find in Florida. After proving my bravery and services in battle, I wrote the Spanish governor and king, asking for my freedom and that of my fellow runaway slaves from Carolina. In 1738, the governor granted our freedom and gave us land north of St. Augustine, on which we built our free town. The Spaniards recognized my natural leadership and referred to the other townspeople as my subjects. I left Mose briefly to serve the Spaniards as a corsair, or pirate. The English enemy captured me and sold me back into slavery in the Bahamas. But after years in English slavery, I finally made my way back to Mose to live with my wife and 4 children.
All right now,
My name
Francisco.
is Francisco Menendez. I'm a Mandinga born in West Africa. When I was a young man, English slavers took me to Carolina. There, other slaves told me that I could be freed in Spanish Florida.
The language of Mose. The people of Mose most likely communicated in English, Spanish, and several American Indian languages. Watch and listen for words in English, Spanish, and Temuca. Hello, friend. Hola, amiga. Quale, chico. Multicultural mix. Life at Mose. encompassed several different cultures. The Africans constantly interacted with Spanish and American Indian cultures. Their life at Mose was distinctly Spanish and Catholic, as those were the conditions of their freedom. But residents also may have honored many traditions and spoken other languages. Mose residents were in close contact with several American Indian cultures. They worked with the American Indians in hunting, scouting, and trading. Many Mose men married American Indian women. Africans also use American Indian pottery and may have adopted other native traditions. Africans were being baptized by white missionaries in the 18th century.
There, other slaves told me that I could be freed in Spanish Florida. I joined in the Yamasee Indian War against the English, as some of the
Our
slaves
life
were enslaved in St. Augustine.
in Spanish Florida is very different than slavery in English Carolina.
To a Spanish official. The Spaniards made me captive of the slave division, but I pursued the freedom I expected to find in Florida. After proving my bravery and service in battle, I wrote to Senator Johnston, asking for my freedom and that of my fellow runaway slaves from the Carolinas. In 1738, the governor granted us peace. He gave us land north of St. Augustine, on which we built our
Can you imagine a world without grocery stores? How would you get food? Mose residents relied on the land. They grew corn and rice and occasionally received food from St. Augustine. However, the majority of their food was hunted and gathered. Most of the Mose residents lived in small, palm-thatched huts. The huts might have been oval-shaped and as large as 12 feet in diameter. In 1759, there were 22 houses at Mose for 67 people, 37 men, 15 women, 7 boys, and 8 girls. Most households consisted of families and extended families. Few households were made up of men and women who had wives enslaved in St. Augustine.
There, other slaves told me that I could be freed in Spanish Florida. I joined in the Yamasee Indian War against the English, as some of us escaped together to St. Augustine. But one Indian betrayed us and sold me as a slave to a Spanish official. The Spaniards made me captive of the slave division, but I pursued the freedom I expected to find in Florida. After proving my bravery and service in battle, I wrote to Senator
People
Johnston,
at Fort Mose
asking
always
for my
spoke
freedom
Spanish
and
with
that of
many
my fellow
languages.
runaway slaves from the
Imagine living in
Carolinas.
a city with 150
In 1748, I
alongside one another.
contracted our freedom.
That's the way
It
Fort
gave us
Mose
land north
was.
of St. Augustine,
Listen to the singing
on
book
which we built
spoken
our
in 3
home.
languages,
The
English,
Spanish addressed me as
Spanish,
their captain.
and Peruvian, and they were American
I
officials from
was
Florida.
I left Mose to settle Spanish in Mose, or pirate. The English soon captured me and gave me back as a slave. But after years of English slavery,
This was Fort Mose. Well thought out, well planned community. It's a river. They had a moat, thatched houses, tower, defense system. They want to act like we had no sense whatsoever. Number 10, the overlook. Had a chapel, moat, gates. Wow, excellent. The people who made up Mosaic community came from many different locations, including West and Central Africa, and from Carolina and Georgia. The term Africa is misleading as these people didn't consider themselves Africans. Instead, they identified with their ethnic and linguistic groups of origin. The residents of Fort Mose represented at least four distinct African cultural groups: Mandinga, Karabali, Congo, and Mina. Like African American Indian is a general term. The American Indians who interacted and intermarried with the Fort Moshe community came from Temuqua, Yabaja, Chaluke, Costas, Chaskis, and Chickasaw cultural groups. Surprisingly, the timeline starts at 1492 because that's when life began for whites, although people were already here. For That's amazing. Anyway, 1492, Christopher Columbus called the native people Indians because he thought he landed in India. All right. 1513, several free Africans came to Florida with Ponce de Leon. Hmm. Notice that there was a sanctuary to escape to come to Florida. People were coming to the South, not leaving the South. In 1728, the Spanish crown commended the black militia for its bravery in fighting the English. 1812, Fort Mose is destroyed. Wasn't that long ago, folks. However, after the English gained control of Spanish Florida in 1763, the Spanish colonists, including the Mose residents, moved to Cuba. The resilient free Africans started a new life in an unfamiliar land. So, you Cubans need to recognize that you are connected to Black Americans, those of us that over here that are African. You are connected to us, so to act as though you don't know who we are, or as if you are a people unto yourself, is ludicrous. Many of the St. Augustine and Moshe residents settled in the Menendez province. They received land grants from the Spanish government. The Spanish also gave them tools, seeds, and a slave to help build their new homestead. So, after the English gained control over Florida, we moved to Cuba to start our lives over yet again. The only thing is, so many more were enslaved by the British, to which we are still colonized to this day. Make the best of your lives. Ashe. Now, tell me what you learned from Juan Antonio being 7 years old in Fort Moshe in 1752 as he tells you. What have you learned?
He do stuff for his parents and his grandma.
Okay.
He has to do his chores.
He has to do his chores. What else?
Every day I have chores to do.
What is he telling you? You tell me, what does he tell you he's
He
doing?
get food for his own.
And be happy about it and don't
Okay.
complain.
What is he doing though? You tell me, what does he do? What year did he do that?
1752.
How old is he?
7 years old.
7 years old. At 7 years old in 1752, he does what?
Chores.
Chores. What else?
Gather food.
Gather food. What else? Tell me.
Help his family.
Helps his family. And what else?
Fish.
Fish.
Goes to school.
School, and he's doing, yes, he's school, exactly. He's learning. That's a lot at 7. How responsible is that? Pretty responsible, right? So what do you learn from that? The difference between a black child in 1752 and a black child in 2013. What's the difference here? What's going on? Are you learning a lot here at the Black History Museum? Do you see the difference in what they're doing to you, your minds now, what they're sucking out of your brain? The media, the computer, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So you know what you got to do, right? So the difference between a 7-year-old in 1752, when y'all thought, oh, they didn't have nothing back then. But look what he's doing. And you got everything you think. And look what you're doing. How old are you?
9 years old.
9. You're about to turn 10 in a few days. And how old are you? 8. And you will be 9. This little boy is 7 and he acting like a man, right? Very responsible. Lesson well learned. Think about that. Take that in. You got a lot to do, right? Learn a lot while you're here because you see what your people do. A lot of history. You got to step up your game. Don't believe the hype, right? A lot to think about. Okay. I'm gonna get you in a minute, Zeta. Keep going. Freedom. What do you think it meant to the people who lived here? What things in your life make you feel free? Did the Mose residents have those things? Was living at Mose really freedom?
Oh Lord. So it was like the Spanish came and took them to Cuba and tried to put them back into slavery. I mean the British. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, the British.
Lord, that was like a nightmare all over again.
That's cute, Zeta. So, what does freedom mean to you? What does freedom mean to you, Beta? Happy. And your picture is Beta and Grandma. Thank you, Beta. That's very nice. And yours is, what you gonna do? Put it there.
Freedom.
Okay. Who drew that? It's already there?
I didn't know it. I think it was already I'll show you the real books.
Zeta and Jeremiah doing there. What does freedom mean to you drawings? And we are still in the museum at Fort Mose State Park. They're leaving their legacy on the blackboard. There's Kamaya. And Jeremiah's got William and Jeremiah. Okay. That's what does freedom mean to you. Brothers, huh? Good job.
Hold on. I gotta do something.
All right.
Oh, I spelled wrong.
Put the R. Big happy family. Okay, good job.
No, not draw. Oh, I forgot how to spell brother.
Put the R right there. Okay. You're there. Good job.
This is really nice.
All right. So y'all left your legacy for all to see. Yay.
Who draw that tree up?
Nice job, guys.
You like that, Maya?
Woo. All right, and we've had our day at the museum.
Oh, can we go back there?
And now we're going to go outside. All right.
We gotta go this way? My William.
The babies had a good time. Let's gonna go outside now and take a look around. Yay!
Come on, William. I draw something.
Good, yeah. You look like a wonderful boy.